So just following them over here because they run for it and they're gone. They're in the field already. Wife is over in the field. Sophia's and Danielle is over in the field too. So they have cameras set up so they'll catch them going into the field. So you pick that up here now. It's official. Spring 2021 is here. I'm still going over to Nicole. It's nice to get these cows out to grass. That's where they belong. Between 5 cameras we have here with all my ladies behind me. I think probably only have footage out of maybe 1 or 2. One camera was on time lapse. The other camera was upside down. The other camera I don't think was turned on right. But anyway, we have it. We have cows out and that's all that matters. It is a great day. It's the best day of the year to see cows going out. All dairy farmers across the country celebrate on that day, and it's just a bonus it being St. Patrick's Day, so that's just awesome. My routine in the yard now will change because normally when cows would be going out in the morning, we get the calves fed, the yard's cleaned, all that kind of work done, the machine washed out, and then I would close them in probably half an hour after they go out. But this morning I just want to get that bit of filming done so you guys, well, I want to see them myself out in the field because it is a nice sight after a long winter to see them back finally on the grass because summer is in the air. So it's Tuesday evening now, calves roaring, looking for the mail. It's not mail time yet for you guys, you have to wait an hour or 2 yet. Bringing our cows in this evening, just check and see if the gate closed. It is. I think I'm going to have to do one thing that no farmer ever wants to do when the cows goes out, and that is bring them back in again. Unfortunately, the weather has changed quite a bit and it's given quite a lot of rain in the next few days, and it's also given to be very cold. It's given sleet and snow on Friday, which isn't ideal. This time last year the ground was starting to really dry up. I think we're going into a drought around now, but cows are starting to accumulate around the gaps, as you can see here, and they're starting to do that early in the evening. And when you start to see cows doing that, it's not a nice thing to see because they start to dig up the ground a wee bit. Now that field's actually okay, but if you look at the clouds, it's just nothing but rain. That's a heavy shower now, so I'll get these cows out quickly before I get caught in it. But yeah, it's not a nice thing to have to do. Cows will not be happy back inside again during the daytime. But we've loads of silage. Fodder's not a problem, but just cows don't be happy going back in, and the milk tank will certainly not be happy either. What you do, you just have to go with the weather. At the minute, the weather is rough. Now we're here, I done a bit of slurrying in the last few days. I have to say that tank, love it. I absolutely love that tank. It travels ground so well. But this field here is one of the steepest ground we have. We call it the Sandpit Hill because there's a sandpit quarry at the very top of it. If you dug into that hill, it's nearly like pure sand. Great stuff for filling around sheds and things, ideal for that, but very, very steep when it gets up to that hill. But I got up nicely towards it. The only problem was at the bottom down is still very, very wet, so I slipped and slided in a few places. Didn't do much harm, but I wasn't able to get the whole thing slurried. Like most of my fields, from the minute you come in, it's up, up, up the whole time. Let's get these cows in and get milking done for this evening. Ooh, that's a cold wind. If they go back out tomorrow, can't see it happening, but they'll be going in fields down further where there's a wee bit more shelter. So, we're just after putting this girl into the calving pen, and any of you that are watching us on Instagram will know that she's quite a famous lady because she's going to have twins. And she's just starting to get sick now. She was a lot of trouble last year, and I don't want to have a repeat because she's very, very heavy. She's EI'd to Belgium Blue as well. The moo call is just after sending me a text message there about 5 minutes ago, letting me know. Yeah, well, let me know she's going to poo, probably is one of them. Yeah, she's christened her bed there now anyway. They all do the same thing. When there's a lovely bed of straw, the first thing to do is to go in on the dung on it. That's cows, yeah, that's the way they work. Very big belly, as you can see. Very big belly on both sides. I'll try to film it if I can. I'm just looking at the camera there, my face is quite red because I actually think I got sunburn today. Yep, sunburn. Some difference to the rain we had a few days ago. But we're out working in the fields today, fixing up drinkers, of course. Spent the whole day fixing valves on drinkers. Just replacing the little rubbers and replacing some of the stems as well. Quite a lot of water leaks. All small ones, but they all add up when there's quite a few of them. And they're all coming from the very same thing. but none of them's leaking now at the minute, so hopefully it'll stay that way. Anyway, I'm going to go milk, and we'll pick it up when this cow goes to do her business, and I am praying that all will go well, because last year was a big task. 2 calves were more or less coming side by side, so I had 4 feet out at me last year. I had one that was coming the correct way and one that was coming backwards. I remember calling the vet, and the vet was just about to get into the car, and I cancelled him again because I managed to get it out of her. About 40 minutes at least working at her, trying to get the calves out, and it was a miracle. They were both alive. They were freezing at them. The year before it was Aberdeen Angus. Twins are hard on cows, there's no doubt about it. I'd rather not see them, to be honest with you, but them kind of things you just can't do anything about. So hopefully we'll pick it up and it'll be good news when she calves. So what's happening here at the minute is all the characteristics the same as before of there being a problem. The first water bag's gone about an hour and a half. She's been laying stretched out twice now, pushing for all she's worth, and nothing's coming. So not really that that's not normal, because it can be. Some cows can take longer to calve than others. Other cows can just calve straight away. Other cows can take a little bit of time. But with her, because of her history and because she's so heavy, you could have a calf with backside coming and no legs. You could have a head coming, no legs. You just don't know. So I'm going to have to handle her. I'm going to have to see what way things are, and more likely I'm going to have to take it from her, because the longer you leave her, the worse it can get. So I just know from experience it's time to kind of intervene and have a quick look and see what way things are. We're okay. We're okay. This may not be twins at all. They're big feet, maybe just one big calf. As well, make sure you have the right feet. So you need that foot, the left foot to be on this side and the right foot to be on this side. You don't want to cross over the legs. So give her plenty of time. She'll push now. It's quite possible it's just one big calf. We just don't know yet. It's not a huge calf. They are nice sized legs. Those just starting to come now. Again, we're not putting on much pressure, just tipping it down with the palm of my hand. She's pushing, she's doing the whole work herself. Or just giving her a bit of aid just to help her along. That's why it's called a calving aid, calving jack. Go, head out. Become nice and easy after that. Bull. A nice bull. Well, if you've seen the state of my camera now, it's wrapped, it's covered in slime and everything it shouldn't be covered in. That is a monster of a Belgian Blue bull calf. Absolute, unbelievable big calf. Full length of the jacket you see now when it was coming out. But I'm going to check her. She still has a brave belly, just to make sure. Happy days, lovely healthy calf. I'm just putting on a fresh glove just to check her while she's licking the calf. Oh wait, yeah, there's another one. There's another one. Yeah. In that pocket, yeah. We're business. Well, she's no more. So there you have it. My wife doesn't want to touch anything that's near the cow whatsoever. So we have two Belgian Blue bulls. Look at the size of them. I knew when I put in my hand after first one came, I could immediately tell the next calf was coming backwards. And it's time to get them out. When you see them coming back like that, just get them out as quickly as possible. No problem, a big open cow. Two monsters, especially that first one of Belgian Blue bulls. Totally awesome. Cow will be good. She'll get an injection now of penicillin because we had to handle her. There's no other way about it. We had to save the calves. So she'll be getting an injection of penicillin for a couple of days, and that'll keep her right. She'll be 100%. But everything's good. Everything's healthy. A really good result. Now, before you ask, a lot of you were asking me in the channel why didn't I put in the air filter the last time when I made the video, or did I ever get the air filter for it? Yes, I did get the air filter for it. My own mistake, no one else's mistake, only my own. So John Conaty's sent me out the proper air filter for it, and now we're going to install it. You can see how dirty that is. A lot of old carbon built up on it. The inside one actually wasn't too bad, but definitely I haven't changed it since I owned the tractor. Yeah, that is one of my guilty mistakes. I didn't change it. Anyway, we have it now, and we're going to do it now. Now these filters can be a little bit difficult to get the cover back on again, especially in these 4-cylinder tractors, because you have so much stuff in the way all the time. But it does come with lube to help you put it in. The less said about that, the better. Oh, it fits. You know the way some YouTubers and they're fixing tractors and things like that, including myself, people say, God, that looks so easy, you make things look so easy. Trust me, far from easy. That's the power of editing. That little, not saying name, was a devil to get in, and that's what it was, just to get that lid on to get it to turn. Do you see these wires? See how tight everything is? That's the thing about a 4-cylinder tractor. Everything is such compacted on top of itself, really, really tight. That air cleaner could have done been dropped down another inch. It's too close to the bonnet, but look at it's in, but it fought me all the way. Lube or no lube, it did not slide in the way it was supposed to. So next time somebody's making something look easy and good, trust me, it's editing, and that wasn't easy. I just made it look good on the video. No, you can't give out to me. It's even pouring rain on me as well. You can't give out to me now. Now you've seen the air filter did actually go into the tractor. Thanks to the guys at John Conaty Tractors, as always. Sent the part out in 2 days. It landed on my front door. You cannot beat that. Go over there and check them out. www.johnconatys.com. So just before we start feeding these cattle, you might notice some of them have ringworm on their skin. It's only on, I think, 5 of them altogether, but it's all but better. The hair is starting to grow back through it. We got a fungicide spray and we put that on it. Sometimes we use run oil, just ordinary burnt oil. Does the job, every bit is good. I didn't have any used oil at the house because I used it all to paint my fence last year, and I'm only getting round to servicing the tractors now in the next week, so gone all kind of crusty, but the hair is all starting to grow back through it, so it is dead. It's a dirty old thing, but it's very common in cattle. It's kind of an old virus that's in their blood, and it kind of normally goes through them all. This time it didn't. And you just have to be really careful when you're handling bars and things, especially when you're going in and out railings like I do. Just be kind of careful. Try not to handle things too much because you don't want to get it on your own skin, because it is, ringworm's a horrible, horrible thing. You can see me bars all blowing all over the place. No matter many times I stack them, they get blown all over the place. Just the amount of wind we're having. Up around here it's always windy, so stuff gets blown everywhere. But I have to take all that stuff home. In a few years' time, it'll be roofed over. This whole yard will be put into an L shape. I know exactly what I want to do, and possibly, not possibly, definitely there'll be a silage pit going up here as well. There's one thing I want to talk about. Several times I went to do it and then I found it wasn't the right time to do it, but it's very, very, very important because breeding season is about to start on our farm, and loads of people ask me, why don't you use a stock bull? Something that gets asked an awful lot on the channel. I tried to explain it a few times, but it's very hard to explain it in a comment or something like that, so I'm just going to cover it now once and for all, and that could actually save someone's life hopefully in the future, and kind of wake people up to what can actually happen on a farm. This used to be only one single gate here, and on this side the gate was here going into this field before we've done any of this building whatsoever. So the gate was there into that field, and then straight across from it was the gate going into that field. This pass was always here. It used to go up and go the whole way up along around that bend and up to the back field. We could move cattle from this field to this one very, very easily. We could open the gates across the pass. It wasn't as wide as this, so the gate used to reach the whole way across the pad, and the same on this side, and then you had a clear passageway for cattle just to walk from one place to the other. One thing we used to do up until about 2-3 years ago was we used to actually hunt our cows over here, our milking cows, from the home farm, which is over there in the distance, over the road, and we'd have them here in the daytime. We'd split this big hill in two, and we'd split it into paddocks. We'd move a fence then every evening, and the cows come over here during the daytime for about 5 days a week, and then they'd be kept at home at night. We used to always run a Frisian bull with our cows. Our heifers probably would have been an Aberdeen Angus. That's the way we done things up until about 2008. We never had one that was tame. All I see the different signs of them tearing the ground and roaring and growling at you when you'd be walking by, and you know, you're better off seeing that because you'd always be wary of it. One of the biggest problems was the bull that we had in 2006 was a really quiet bull. Now my father would have a lot more trust in bulls than I would have had that time, and he used to come in with his hand on the back of the bull's back, walking him into the yard. I used to hate seeing that. I used to tell him more and more times, stay away from him, he's a bull, he can turn on you just in a split second, because there was a lot of people in their local areas had been seriously attacked by bulls around that time too. My father's generation, you cannot get through to them. They do not listen, unfortunately. We had our cows over here one Friday, and I remember it as if it was yesterday, and our heifers were over here in this field. Now one of our heifers had repeated and came back. We had no Aberdeen Angus bull that year running with them. We were AIing them all, and one of them had come back, came repeat, and our cows was here, and our bull was standing here, just about here, just in this area, and the heifer was standing just behind the gate. And I said to myself, my father was with me because we're over here doing a bit of fencing that day, and we said to ourselves, we'll just open the gate, let him run into the heifers, and then the following day he can go back into the cows and come home with the cows that night, if you get what I mean. I opened the gate like that. My father opened the other gate. I walked to here. The cows were all spread out down the field. He was standing here roaring to get into the heifer. I walked over to him. He was facing me like this, and I walked over to him. I walked around him like this, and when I got to behind him, I put my hand on him, and the two gates was open at this stage, and I give him a little pat on the back. He just turned right around, and this was a big guy, and remember, he had never ever shown any signs at all of being cross. And when he turned around, I kind of moved around this way myself. And he, within a second, I mean a split second, he hit me here on the side of the leg. And he threw me from here to that chuck, which is about a good 30 foot. That's how hard he hit me. Now, I was quite young at the time and I was a lot lighter than I am now. So he threw me up into the air. I landed about here, just before the shock. I knew that he was coming after me, and my father was standing at the gate shouting at the top of his voice, "Run, run." Rolled myself as hard as I could into that shock there. But by the time I got into that shock, there was no electric fence running along, and that shock was actually a lot deeper. We have to clean that shock out now when I do look at it. But he came down into the shock after me, and he hit me again on my leg and pinned my leg into the ground. My instinct was pure adrenaline, was to get out of there. And I managed to be so lucky to be able to pull myself underneath the barbed wires, through bushes and all, and roll out onto the laneway. And when I got out there, I was free from him. He was roaring, he was pulling the shock out of it to get at me. The luckiest persons that day to survive that, because the rap he gave me and the quick follow-up to finish me off in the shock, he wasn't going to let me get out of the field. If I had landed out in the field, my father said there's no way you would have survived that attack if he'd have got you out in that field, because he was going to kill you, and that was just the way he was. And thankfully enough, it happened so quick that my father didn't come into the field, because that's what he would have done. He would have come into the field. It's just your instinct. Things that make logic in your head disappear when something like that's happened, and his instinct would have been to come into the field, and he would have got it too. The two of us could have been killed in a very, very short split second of a bad decision that we made. And it was a bad decision. When I got out onto that laneway, I noticed I couldn't stand up. And I tried to stand up. I was in no pain, but I couldn't stand up. And it wasn't till about 3-4 minutes after, till the shock kind of went out of me, that I started to get the pain. The one thing I wanted to make sure was that my father and myself would get home and get out of that place altogether, and away from him. Now, another thing was running through my mind was that I had the quad with me that time too, so I got on the quad, left my father here, and raced home just to actually get the trousers taken off to see what kind of shape I was in, and because I knew I was getting sore by the minute and the power was just not there in my leg. Turns out anyway, my leg was, he tore the whole ligaments in my knee. From my knee to my hip was completely swollen like a barrel, an awful looking mess, and pins and needles in my foot, and my ribs up here along my ribs was all red raw. And I don't even remember him ever touching me in the ribs, so he obviously did, and I didn't just feel it. It happened so quickly. And you remember a bull, at the size he was absolutely huge, and you'd swear he couldn't walk from here to there in 5 minutes. He was so slow looking, but within a second a bull can just turn, and when the temper goes on them, they can, you would not outrun them. Put it that way, you will not outrun a bull. Wouldn't go to the hospital. They roared and they shouted at me to go to the hospital, and I wouldn't go to the hospital because I knew these cows had to be taken home that evening, and that bull was going to be with them, and there was no way I was going to let anybody else into this field to get the works. So I came back over myself that evening in all the pain I was in, and I made sure we got him out. He growled and he roared. The tractor up into the field, and we put him out with the tractor. He was a different animal. He was all worked up. He just turned into a killing machine. That's basically what he turned into, all within a few hours. We put him into the shed, and that was it. He was gone off our farm the following morning. But I have a really bad leg now, which meant I couldn't play sports anymore. I couldn't do any things that I really enjoyed doing. The exercises that I enjoyed doing had to be completely stopped for a while anyway. I have good power back in my leg. I'm fine that way, but my knee, if anything touches it, I'd be crippled for a couple of days. So it's just a really bad knee now because of it. My father walked that bull into the yard the day before that happened with his hand on his back the whole way in. Following day, that's what he done. Okay, so we're in the milking parlour because it's absolutely pouring outside. As I said, we AI all our cows and all our heifers, and the only thing we have used in the past is tail paint. Now, the tail paint we use comes in little bottles, very similar to what you have here, only the bottles have a brush built into the top of them. A lot of these in farming of any sort probably know the one I'm talking about. and that's the one I really used. They're fine. I'm going to show you what the problem is with them. When you're milking and these bars push out, so you're all the time, you can't take your hands off or you're going to fall. You're trying to balance, you're trying to hold paint, and you're trying to put the tail paint on the cow's back. That is a pain because you have ropes and everything here in front of you, you have to go underneath. It's just a nightmare, and that's the reason I quit doing it in the milking parlour and why I do it in the chute. When I do them in the chute, the problem is cows have a tendency to want to go out. It means you have to hold the whole cows after milking in the yard. Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Cows hate getting held back in the yard, and it takes about an hour, so you have to do it straight after milking. It takes about an hour to do, and it's not convenient. If it were just running through the chute that we're intending to build, yes, you could do it a lot quicker, but just never convenient. I got talking to a company called Tail Painter, and they're an Irish company, and they sent me this out to try out with my cows. Thank them very much for that. I've seen it on videos that are on Facebook and on YouTube, but I think this will save me an awful lot of hassle. The theory of it, it can't go wrong. A blue paint, a red paint, green paint, and orange paint if you feel like, and we have two refill applicators that sit onto the actual roller, so you have two, so you can have the two colours without having to empty one and clean it out to put in a different colour. We actually have two. What you do is you paint the whole herd red first, straight after they have calved. And after you see the first indication of a cow coming into heat, you change from red to blue. And then after you served that cow, even you're not serving her, you put it to blue knowing that that cow has cycled. So when you see any cows that are blue have already had a cycle. And then when you come along to actually serving that cow, you change it to green. And then when you have a repeat, you change it to yellow, or in this case, an orange. It makes no difference as long as it's a colour that you can identify that this cow has repeated. So you have a telescopic handle, up and down. There's teeth on this here, so it's not going to slip when there's teeth on it, so you adjust that to suit. I'll not know this until the cow's in to actually see what the best place is. And then basically all you do is you go down along here, one tail done, two tail done, three tail done, four tail done, five tail done, and so on. One option you have then is you can pour this back into the container if you want, or you can just put the lid on it like that there, and that's it sealed, and you don't have to touch it then whatsoever. It's up to you totally what you want to do. That's what I'm going to do. We will be filling the other one with green paint, and the theory is as soon as the cows are AI'd, we'll put green paint onto their tail then, and that way we'll know when we look at them at a distance that these animals have been served. And if they come back and we see that green pin taken off, we know there's a repeat. Change it again, and you can put it for a second repeat in a different colour if you want. It's totally up to you, whatever system you want to design. That's very straightforward, so I'll let you make a decision on that yourself. But I like it. I like it because it's very, very simple. So you can see the tops of the back. It's a bit hard to see here as it's not a great light. But you can see there, that one cow there, she's got her back to us. You can see the way the lane's just lovely and well painted down her back. We're going to go and feed a few cows here. Sophia's just waiting on me. The milk's just warming. First Thursday, the 1st of April, is it? Tomorrow the 1st? No. Tomorrow the 1st of April. Nearly forget. Nearly forget. I think it's either... It could be. Could be the 1st of April. You just lost what time of year it is there at the minute. This Everton's just... The weather makes things funny. Because 1 minute it looks like spring. The next minute is like winter again. Because this week was brutal. I'm going to go and collect my fertiliser tomorrow. And I'm going to get the first batch of it. Don't know if I'll be sowing it tomorrow, but I hope to be sowing on Friday because it's given bad weather from Sunday onwards, given snow and frost and everything. But we really need to get our fertiliser for our silage ground in the ground. And look at the rabbits up on the hill playing. Look at the, look. It's lovely to see the rabbits out playing in the hill. I haven't seen that in years. Rabbits have disappeared lately because the population of, I don't know, it's foxes or buzzards. There's an awful buzzards about. I think a buzzard probably would lift a rabbit. We never see them anymore. That's the first time I've seen 2 rabbits playing on top of our hills. It's lovely to see 2 wee rabbits playing. That's why I just let the girls have a look. They're gone now, girls. You missed it. We're going to be working on a little Fergie now and putting that up during the middle of the week. We've done a lot of work on it there in the last few days. We have a couple of little issues that we came across. Minor things, but we'll address all that in that video. So folks, until the next one, if you haven't hit that sub button, now's the time to do it. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok and on Facebook. If you want any of our merch, links down below.
And until the next one, we'll talk to you again.